Okay, structure of the U.S. government. This is probably the most important and difficult to understand because it's very abstract, but it is prevalent and important for us to understand the structure of the U.S. government. So our words today are authority, government service, and the three words that matter the most: legislative, executive, and judicial. We have three images here. These words translate to other forms. So they translate to also to local, state, and national. So we also can call this one federal. So the federal government or the national government, and it's categorized as the whole United States. Then we have state government, and this one has a picture of Maryland, even though this is an Arkansas textbook. I never quite understood that, but I guess it's to have other appreciations for other states. So a state government would be Arkansas. And then we also would have local government. This is the town of Annapolis, which is the Navy capital of the world. This is actually, somebody wrote my book, Fort Smith. So local Fort Smith, state Arkansas, and then we are all part of the United States. Each one of these governments also has all three of these branches. So the government's kind of like a tree. It has the legislative, the executive, and the judicial, and they all go together to form the United States. So local government has that. So does state government, and of course the federal government does. The Constitution is the plan of government for the U.S. That plan is based on the idea that government gets its authority or power from the people. By voting, people give government leaders the authority to make decisions and take action for them. In the U.S., voters elect leaders to run three levels of government: local, state, and national. These three levels handle different kinds of problems for areas that are different sizes. So we wouldn't have the local government handling the whole state. We wouldn't have the Fort Smith personnel controlling the whole state. The state is a group of all the local governments. A local government governs just one community, such as the city or town, like Fort Smith, Alma, Barling, Greenwood. Each of the 50 states is run by a state government. The national government is also called the federal government. It makes laws for the whole nation. Each level of government must obey the Constitution. So the federal government, I don't use this word that very often, I'm sorry, it's federal to me. The federal government makes all of these do what it says. And if they don't, it's deemed unconstitutional. All three levels of government make laws to keep people safe. So we have local laws, we have state laws, and we have federal laws. Laws. And the point is to keep us safe and to protect our rights and our property. However, all three levels of government have our own responsibilities or jobs to do. Each one provides different services. Government services, work that the government does for the people in its area. These are paid for by taxes. So this would be like police and ambulance services. Pretty important stuff. Our taxes pay for that, as well as schools. Mostly public schools, but schools nonetheless. Here's pictures of the U.S. Capitol building, which has been in the news quite recently with people making bad choices as far as their form of assembly. They, instead of assembling peacefully, decided to get upset and riot. So this is the U.S. Capitol building, and you can see that there was a large lawn that they were kept to, and then they encroached the building instead. The executive branch is housed at the White House, and the judicial branch is housed at the Supreme Court. So when you think of like a business, think of an executive would be the CEO or the boss. The president is our CEO or our boss, if you will. He makes sure that the laws are carried out and approves whatever laws are proposed. And his place of business is the White House. The legislative branch is the House and the Senate, and recently the House was mostly Republican, and that should be changing soon. So the legislative branch makes the laws, so they're writing, and this is a bunch of attorneys and judges. But then there's 13 special judges. 9? 9, 13. I'm getting confused here. Hold on. I think it's 9. Uh-oh. I lost my marbles. The Supreme Court. 9. Yes, 9 judges in the Supreme Court. I was thinking 13 stripes on my citizenship quiz. 9 men and women are appointed to the Supreme Court, and they were already attorneys and judges and were noted for doing a really good job in their position and being fair and constitutional, and they were promoted to the Supreme Court. So if someone breaks a law, it can be gone all the way up to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court, meaning highest court, to decide if it's constitutional that they broke. The 3 branches of the U.S. government are the legislative, executive, and judicial. These branches are separate but connected like the branches of a tree. See, I did know something today. Each branch of government has a different job to do. The legislative branch makes the laws, the executive branch sees that the laws are obeyed, and the judicial branch judges whether the new laws are fair and based on the Constitution. This is called a checks and balances system. He does something and he checks it. And then they make sure that this is right and this is right as well. The judicial branch also settles conflicts between citizens and businesses. That's the main thing that they end up doing most of the time. State governments and most local governments also have 3 branches. The branches of the state and local levels are also used to make laws, make sure that they are obeyed, and judge whether laws are fair. So these 3 terms, legislative, executive, and judicial, apply to local, state, and federal government. The one that we recognize the most often is the federal government form, legislative, executive, and judicial, but it does happen in our state as well. So that means that the U.S. government is allowed to be equal and nobody has too much power. It's equal, hopefully. And then the states are also equal. So by having these 3 branches, the U.S. has solidified that we are united. Each state has to follow the same protocol. Each state has to run business the same way. So that way that the whole United States works together rather than opposing each other or fighting. Because we don't want any more infighting. We want to be civil and have no more in-house wars. Okay, well, hopefully you understood that assignment or that instruction. I believe I have your worksheet on my computer. If you'll give me just a second. I don't know how I got home without one, but, you know, stranger things have happened. Yes, I do have it. I am uber prepared. Sometimes. Hope you guys are enjoying the weather. Not the cold, but maybe the snow. Okay, work page 75. What are the 3 levels of government that we have in the United States? So this is number 1 and 2. The levels are local, state, and I'm going with federal. I've not really heard it say national government very often, so I'm going with federal. And what are the responsibilities? Well, back in my book, the local level makes laws. So this is a town or city. This is Arkansas. And this is the whole USA. So the local government controls Fort Smith. And the state government controls Arkansas. And the federal government is the control of the whole United States. Local government just governs one community, so the town or city. Each of the 50 states is run by a state government. We wrote that there. And the national government is also called the federal government, makes laws for the whole nation. So they all make laws. It's just a matter of which section they're in charge of. So Fort Smith council members make laws for Fort Smith. Arkansas council members, Senate and House, make laws for the state. And the U.S. makes laws for all of us. So we have federal laws that we have to follow, and we have local state laws. Number 3 and 4, if you need to pause, that's fine. What 3 branches of government do we have in the U.S.? We have the legislative, these words are really long, so I will spell them for you. Executive, and I'm running out of room. Judicial. So legislative, Legislative. Executive, Executive. And judicial, Judical.